Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. That's Angelina Kelly. Manchester United 3, Aston Villa 2. The Reds come in from 2 goals down to win 3-2 thanks to a brace from Alejandro Garnacho and a winner from Rasmus Hojlund, the man who's been under all sorts of pressure and questions all season because he's not got a Premier League goal. Well, he certainly chose the right time to open his account. Well taken winner. I mean, a big win as well for Erik Ten Hag, Ange, because talk about Hojlund being under pressure. Talk about some of the players being under pressure. This manager, we've just had Sir Jim Ratcliffe come in. It's been confirmed he's going to be taking over the football department. We're struggling in the league. We're out of Europe. I mean, everyone's looking at going, you know, we've just lost to West Ham. Last home game we lost to, in the league, we lost to Bournemouth. It felt like if we lost tonight, it could have been under serious pressure. People was thinking maybe get sacked. But that win, I mean, I don't know, it just feels like it felt like something.
Yeah, I think there was huge pressure on Ten Hag tonight. It was a little bit worrying. There was a lot of talk of could this be his last game, and as much as we didn't want it to be his last game, had this have been a disaster tonight, there was an argument for it being his last game. So yeah, I think a huge relief, a lot of pressure lifted in many different ways, but Ten Hag must be breathing a massive sigh of relief because the next home game isn't until is it mid-January now?
40th of January, my birthday, in case you're wondering. Yeah, so
send
40th of
presents
January. Yeah, you know what I mean? I love hair products, obviously. But yeah, it would have been one of the, it's always horrible when you lose the last home game before a big gap because it's like you haven't got that time or that you want that sort of quick turnaround to make it right. When you've got to wait 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, you're like, oh, for God's sake. And plus Spurs is a difficult game to go into as well. Now we've got Forest away at the weekend. Feels like a winnable one. I know Forest are, you know, they've had a big win today, and obviously Nuno's got them playing well. He's just come in, but it's a winnable one. We've got a decent record against Nottingham Forest. I'm going to get into some of the chats and I'll get more thoughts from you. BMW Racing 1974 says, Jay's 30th birthday. Yep, it's been my 30th birthday for the last 13 years. Adam says, Garnacho is legit. Yeah, I'm going to talk about him in a minute. Also, someone says, where's Andy Tate? He's coming. He's been at the game. He's coming here. Don't you worry. You'll be getting your fill of Andy Tate. We'll be getting all the reaction from him and from everyone else as well. And don't forget as well, we're going to be in Dublin on the 28th. So the day after tomorrow, there's still, I think, I've just put a link in the chat there. You'll see it from Stretford Paddock. I think there's still a few tickets left. You come and see me, Adam McCullough, Stephen Howson, Joe Smith, and Wes Brown. We're going to be chatting about tonight, about everything that's gone on, about Erik Ten Hag, about Wesley's setting up Ronaldo's goal in the Champions League final, all that stuff. So come and get involved. We'll have a right laugh with all you lot there. I want to talk about Alejandro Garnacho. In fact, no, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
When those first 2 goals went in for Villa, because he went in quite quickly, quick succession, what were you thinking? Were you thinking like, this is it? It's going to be another Bournemouth-style game? Did you have any hope that we were going to get back into the game? Did you feel this is just like, I don't know, how did you feel?
Once those 2 goals had gone in, I thought this is how I thought it would play out, that Aston Villa would be the better team, that they would absolutely steamroll over us. And I was very fearful because it felt like Aston Villa were just chilling in the first half almost. You know, like they didn't have that many chances, but the chances that they did have, they obviously capitalised on. And I was quite fearful of the second half with their bench, them stepping it up a gear. Would they be able to hurt us? So when those 2 goals went in, I just thought, you know what, this is kind of the script that I expected. But it was a strange one in the first half because Man United did arguably have more opportunities. But like I say, Aston Villa capitalised on theirs. And I think that and like I said before, I don't want to get too negative. We should be positive and we should be celebrating this win. But I think that we were lucky in some aspects that Aston Villa were not on the money tonight at all, because it could have been a lot more difficult.
No, you're right. And you could see it with Aston Villa. They've got a bit of a trait in this Aston Villa. I noticed this last time we played them at Old Trafford. They seem to run out of steam quite quickly. I don't know if that's because they've had a lot of games recently, the way Ireland's got them playing, but it just seems they seem to just almost fall off a cliff, energy-wise. And we saw that today. They were making a lot of mistakes. The issue you've got with this team this season, United, is we haven't created enough chances and we haven't taken our chances when we've had them. Yet tonight we did both of those things the right way. And the sort of scene was set when we had that disallowed Garnacho goal. Because you saw, I think it was Bruno to Marcus to Garnacho.
Yep.
The goal's disallowed, frustrating. It's inches offside. It's one of those where they get the lines out and all that jazz. But the passage of play works well.
Yeah.
And then about 5-10 minutes later, whatever it was, you have a similar thing. Bruno intercepts, gives it to Marcus. Marcus finds Garnacho, 2-1. And then, I mean, I was saying when we were 2-0 down, but that just makes him an idiot that we were going to get back in it. But at 2-1, you proper felt we can win this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think on the watch along, I think Ronaldo touched on it, saying that after we scored the first goal, it never really felt like Villa were going to get back into the game.
No.
I think again that in the second half we were the better team. I think that we had way more chances. I'm trying to think of in the second half how many like clear-cut chances Villa had, and I don't think there were many at all. So it was good for Manchester United. I think that the disallowed goal. So many times with United, you don't know how they're going to react.
No.
When things don't go our way, are we all going to pout and sulk and throw our arms in the air? Are we just going to give up? Are we going to fight for it? And you really saw a lot more, not perfect, not what we want at all, not 100% what we want, but we saw a lot more of the fight and the desire to really win that game, which was a massive positive for me personally.
No, you did. I mean, listen, I've just put a tweet out there and said that, you can question Erik ten Hag, you can question some of his signings, and I think we all have done that. You can maybe question some of his tactics at times. But one of the reasons that managers tend to lose their jobs is because they've lost the dressing room, because the players aren't playing for him anymore. We've seen it with every manager that's come into United post Alex Ferguson. Moyes, he seems to give up. We saw it with Louis van Gaal, and we also saw it with Jose and Oli, of course. But the players are playing for this manager. The players are up for it.
Yeah.
You go 2-0 down. If you're not up for it, you get battered, especially off an Aston Villa side which is capable of hurting you. Ollie Watkins, who's been on fire, barely got a sniff tonight. I mean, there was a couple of chances where Villa had the ball, and I think there was one good save from Andre Onana as well in the second half. But it wasn't like they were all over us or they had a lot of chances. It did feel like Manchester United were the one team out of the two that looked up for it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Alejandro Garnacho.
Yep.
Love the kid. Absolutely brilliant young player. Had a little bit of stick lately. People have been questioning him, haven't they? Going, well, he's got, one Premier League goal, albeit one of the best Premier League goals I've ever seen in my life. I don't think he's got any assists. He's starting a lot of games now. Is he up to it? Should he be starting? He played on the right today, and he just seemed to fly. He really did. And the good thing about that as well is, A, I think he's much better than Anthony on the right-hand side, because I don't rate Anthony at all. And B, he's much better than Marcus Rashford on the right-hand side, who I don't rate either there. I mean, Alejandro Garnacho, for me, one of those performances you just want to see from any United attacker, running at players, getting goals, and just never giving up.
Yeah, he was absolutely relentless. He just didn't seem to stop. He was like, what's that little bunny, the Duracell bunny with the battery? He was just going on and on and on and kept pushing. And that's what you want to see. We want to see it from every single player on the pitch. But I think for him, like you say, he's come under a little bit of scrutiny. Is he a little bit selfish? The West Ham game, he wasn't great. So I think it's been a great experiment putting him on that right hand side and seeing how he does. I think he's been brilliant, and like you say, without hating on Anthony, I don't want to see him in the starting 11 every single week on that right hand side because it doesn't work. So at least having that option, if Rashford can find, I think he had a good game today, but if he can continue to find more form and grow, then we can have Garnacho on that right, and that could be an amazing setup for us. So yeah, really impressed with him. I think that the goals were great. I think that the disallowed goal, like I said, they kept going on after that. He was relentless after it. He didn't kind of, sit and pout about it. So yeah, I think it was a brilliant performance from him. He deserved player of the match. And yeah, I just hope that this is the beginning of him continuing to, prove the doubters wrong, that he can be consistent and he can score not just amazing quality goals, but a lot of goals. Yeah,
100%. He's certainly got the talent. He's a good lad as well. I went down to a thing at Carrington and took my lad. A few months ago, we got an invite there where Garnacho and Palestra did a press conference with a load of kids to get them used to sort of doing press conferences and stuff and give the kids the opportunity to meet him and ask him a few questions. And he was really friendly, took loads of photos. He seemed like a good kid for a young teenager who's obviously, sort of in the limelight. I think he's got a good head on him. He was talking about the fact that he's asking a lot of questions. The fact I think his mum lives with him. He's flown. They both live. He lives with his mum still, and I think he's got a kid now as well. And he said his mum cooks his meals for him. He's got a kid now, so he seems like a pretty grounded individual. And obviously in terms of his footballing ability, absolutely second to none. Julio Lagarda says Eriksen back was huge for us. Why? McTominay was finally benched. I don't want to hate on Scott McTominay. I feel like I spend too much time criticising Scott McTominay. I don't want to make it a big thing, but I will talk about Christian Eriksen. I think he's underrated.
Agreed.
I think when everyone's talking about all this drama we're going through under this manager, people, and I'm guilty of it, people talk about Lisandro Martinez being injured. People talk about the lack of goals from the forwards and how Marcus Rashford's form's fallen off a cliff. People talk about Andre Onana being a bit erratic, especially in the Champions League. People talk about the merry-go-round we got going in defence. People also talk about, the form of Sofian Amrabat or whatever. I seldom hear people saying Christian Eriksen missing is a big loss for us. But it is.
All our best football, almost. Yeah,
all our best football under Erik ten Hag has come when Christian Eriksen has pretty much been in the side. I think the reason a lot of people don't look at Eriksen as being as important as what he is in some of the bigger games like the Manchester Cities and games like that, there's been games where he's probably not the guy you want in that midfield.
Yeah.
Like when City's the prime example when last season, I think it was Fred who came in at Old Trafford and he sort of shone where when we've had Eriksen there, he's not been that great. But 90% of the games you have, Christian Eriksen is the one who's making it tick. And we saw that tonight.
Definitely. I think his experience in these kinds of games just really does shine through, and it really does show what a top class player that he is, and that we're very lucky to have him in this United squad. I agree with you. I think he's underrated. I don't really know why that is, that he seems to just kind of like, I don't know if it's down to he seems like more of a subdued personality. He's more like a chilled guy. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not in your face kind of thing. I don't know if that's the reason why, but people just seem to kind of push him to the side and forget about him. But I think he was brilliant. I think he had a really solid game overall. I like the fact that he stayed on the pitch for the majority of the game. I think he was extremely impactful and just a solid person for Kobbie Mainoo to be partnered kind of alongside in the midfield. So I was happy with his performance, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the fact he played 93 minutes was quite telling as well, because Eriksen usually gets subbed. He's always question marks about whether he can play the full 90. Him and Garnacho are two players that seldom see the game out. Both, I think Garnacho, I can't remember, did he come off late on? I forget in all the euphoria, but they both basically played over 90 minutes whether they got subbed or not.
Yeah.
Also, Kaz Mofo in the super chat says, all we need is consistency and determination to play football. We need to put this energy on every game, not just before or after the halves. Full 90. 100% agree.
Yep.
Do you know what, right? I have seen this so many times as a United fan, going back to Fergie, where we lose goals, go behind, and you still feel we'll win this, especially Old Trafford.
Yeah.
We'll come back. And now it's sort of gone a little bit, hasn't it? I was talking to you about the Forest game. It was the last game where we conceded 2 goals and you thought we could do something, because we did. Yeah, tonight, against the Villa team, it was like United of old. Fighting back, attacking, on the front foot, players playing well together, linking up well. Someone's mentioned it in the chat here, Remy Philly, Kobbie, GPS Mainoo.
I like that.
I like that. That's the old Paul Scholes nickname, innit? Sat-nav. But he was a big part of that as well, when he Kobbie Mainoo, and he's someone who, you talk about United DNA, what you talk about, kids that come through the academy, kids that want to get on the ball, kids that have that little bit of class and that little bit of metal as well, where they can get stuck in. I mean, I don't want to get carried away, because he's only 18 years old, but he's probably the best midfielder I've ever seen play for Manchester United.
1000%. I'm in total agreement. I mean, he should be getting a Ballon d'Or next year, let's be honest. No, I think he is, he's everything that you love about Manchester United. Even as he was coming off the pitch, he was, throwing his arms up, getting the, wanting the fans to get a little bit louder, and you could just see how much it meant to him. He is everything that you want a kid coming through the ranks at United to be. He's so intelligent. His game is amazing, especially when you put in, how young he is. I think the fact that since he's come in, he's been very consistent in that, he's been starting games. I think he is an extremely exciting player, and it is very, very difficult to not get carried away with yourself about him. So long may it continue. I just want him to keep getting more minutes under his belt, keep getting, the experience. I think somebody had said during the watch-along, looking forward to potentially seeing him and Casemiro play together. Yeah. A very, very exciting player, and, he deserves all the flowers, because I think he's barely put a foot wrong coming into a team like this that is so shaky and so, let's be honest, all over the place. Yeah. To come in and be almost like a calming force, and to do so well and be so consistent, I think that says a lot about his intelligence in football, but just his temperament and who he is as, as a person. I think it's great.
Yeah, we mentioned him earlier. I just want to give one final word on Rasmus Hojlund. Do you feel, I won't put words in your mouth, how much of a bonus you feel this could be for him? Do you feel like he could go on and run in the Premier League now, goals-wise? Or do you feel like you've still got to be a little bit cautious because, he's still learning his trade in this division?
I think a bit of both, really. He's still learning his trade. He is still very young. However, I feel like today showed us that whilst the service, the final piece of the puzzle wasn't totally there, but he was getting a lot more service than he's got in the majority of games. You know, the link up between Bruno and Rashford, and there was a lot of positives to take. So I think if we can continue this consistency, if the people around him can continue their consistency as well, then I would like to, listen, I'm not expecting him to be scoring hat-tricks every single game, but, you know, maybe getting a goal in the next game, maybe one or two he might, but he might not, but then he gets two in the next one. That's the kind of run I'm expecting. I don't think it's going to be, you know, 5 goals every game, but I think we are allowed to expect now that he goes on a bit of a run.
Yeah, I think it's 6 goals now for the season, which I know it's only 1 in the Premier League, but that's not
horrendous.
Terrible. We're in December.
There's been people that have done a lot worse.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So let's give the kid a bit of credit. He's 20 years old. He's at his first big club. He's had a big move, £70 million. Came when he was injured. He's been ran into the ground. He's been feeding off scraps. Even tonight, to be honest with you, a lot of the time, he wasn't getting the service he should have been getting. It was, you know, Garnacho and Rashford and Bruno were sort of a lot of the time taking it on themselves. But he did get his goal and he took it really well. And it was a perfect finish because it was round Martinez and it hit the inside of the post and went in. I think any closer to the keeper and he saves it and any wider it hits the post and goes wide. Joe C's been a member of the academy for 36 months. Says Eric Ten Hag had big plans for Kobe at the start of the season. His injury set the team back. Crazy, he's only 18. Caution, but he looks the real deal. Don't forget as well, if you join our membership, you get extra content. And we have got the 12 days of Paddock, which we'll be announcing after we're back from Dublin, where you can win some prizes. We give prizes to our members as well. So you get extra content, you get some prizes. Plus, I've put a link in the chat to the Dublin event. There's the last few tickets remaining. So if you click on there, you should be able to get one if you hurry and come and join us in Dublin the day after tomorrow, the 28th of December. Big thank you to everyone who's joined in the chat. A big win for Manchester United, a big win for Eric Ten Hag. Ange, always a pleasure. Yes. Go and check out Angelina Kelly on all your socials. You know where to find me as well. We're going to have in Andy Tate and House and all the rest of it giving us their reaction too. So don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. This has been a reaction, live review to Manchester United beating Aston Villa after going 2-0 down to win 3-2. Thanks for watching.